Okay. I believe we are ready to go. Okay. Alrighty. For real this time, we are ready to go. Let me just do a quick check on the audio levels. And we'll see how that sounds. Okay. That seems to check out to me. Let's go ahead and get this ball rolling then, shall we? Alright. Now, at the moment, your grid size is not going to matter too much. So we'll just go ahead and pick the smallest one. We're going to remove it anyway. Okie-dokie. Wonderful. Alrighty, so I think today what I'm gonna try to do is pull from a dungeon generator that I'm working with here on the side. And this is from a website called dungeon.app. Dungeon spelled D-U-N-G-E-N. And I'll link that in the description as well after the stream tonight. So if you want to go check this out yourself, you are more than welcome to. But first things first, I want to make sure that these maps are formatted in a way that I can actually use. So obviously, if I'm gonna pull from here, I have to make sure that I can actually use it. All right, let's see. How are we looking here? Hey, look at that. Beautiful. Alrighty, so. The tiles on here are set to 32 by 41, which is not terribly important for us to pay attention to. But it does give us an idea of kind of our scale that we'll be working with here. And I gotta make sure that I am oriented correctly for my sake. And my method for getting this squared up properly is you take this little grid object right here. And once you set that down, you align part of your grid just right there. And that'll give you a good idea of kind of what you need to stretch in order to fill. I'm going to expand this out so that I can really see what I'm working with here. And we are going to want to line this up right there. So, first things first, we know that our map is a little short in this axis, and you could tell because the further down you go, you got more and more space. From, say, like the grid line on the image to the grid line on the actual object that you're working with. So, we need to go down here and stretch out our image so that it lines up nicely. And it doesn't have to be perfect, mind you. Remember that you're working in GME, which does not, for any reason, require you to use grids if you don't want to. This is more or less just going to be a sort of guideline for us to work with for tonight's project. Stretch it out a little bit more, and I think I'm going to call that good. You can see how it's sort of deviating a little bit, but I don't think that's going to matter too much. And then we just do the same thing on the other axis as well. We pick our original point where we had it lined up, and we could see over here where it could use a little bit of a squish. Let's see here. Oop. And beautiful. All right. Now, once again, doesn't have to be perfect. I think that will do just fine for a guideline for now. And to help us save on a little bit of performance, we'll just go ahead and knock that grid out of there. So now we've got our template. And just to double check our scale here, let's just grab a miniature, swing down here, and plop it down. And that checks out as far as I could tell. Probably could be squished a little bit this way. Not too much, just enough. Okay, so with that, now we need to sort of pick a theme. And I'm going to go ahead and stick with a dry, perhaps a deserty theme. That seems to tickle me just so. I'm going to do that. Now, I'm going to keep this handy because once again, scale is going to be important, and having a miniature handy at all times where that you could just slap down and check and see where your walls are at. Very handy. Very, very handy to have. Now, the next choice that we need to make is where the entrance is going to be. And I think the entrance is going to be over here. This seems very front door to me. Got a lot of front door energy going on here. So that's what we'll do. Just keep that off to the side. And just to make sure that we don't wind up in a situation where we want to pit later, and we can't go down, we're going to elevate this up. So that way, if we want a pit, we can have one. The template doesn't have any sort of indications of a pit, but I don't know. This long hallway is awfully lonely. Could probably use a trap or two. I think that's what we're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to get these out because these just so happen to be about 10 feet tall within the scale of the cave. I don't plan on using these to wall up my dungeon. I'm going to use that purely as a measure for how tall this is. Okay, so I figure for this dungeon, at most a 15-foot pit will probably do fine. And we'll just have it right there. We'll just keep it handy in case we want to reference it later. Okay. Now for the fun part. Picking out our theme. And I think what I'm going to do... see, Crusader Castle's got some cool stuff going on with it. What about... Antiquity, perhaps? Let me actually fall back on Old Faithful Dungeon here. So this is probably one of my favorite sections to work with And as it so happens, you can get this with the free version of the game as well. So probably all the more reason to utilize it, huh? Castle set. If I remember correctly, there was a like sort of a brown earthy colored tile set, and I'm not remembering where it was. Let's see here. Perhaps it was interior. Nope, that wasn't it. Exterior? Getting warmer, I think. Oh, here we go. This is what we're looking for. Right here. So this also has conveniently sized tiles. Okay, and I think for the sake of this build, I'm going to actually format the sizing for that in particular. So let's run back over here and give it another stretch. Scoot this back over. More stretch. Nice. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Yeah, that'll suit me just fine. Okay, so go ahead and copy paste that over. Copy paste these. And boom, there's the floor to our first room. Now, we are going to be able to see kind of underneath in between these tiles here. So I want to do something that will kind of help fill that space underneath. And what I'm going to do for that is I'm going to use this option here called Pure Materials. Very, very handy feature to have. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a material that's kind of dark, maybe earthy toned. It doesn't have to necessarily be like earth itself, but perhaps something, I thought I saw something like this. So on its own, it doesn't look like too much. But we expand it out here. Give it a bit of a shrink, just so that it's a bit easier to work with. Not too much, though. And just lower it down till, there we go. Sort of covers the bottom there. Now, upon looking at this, I'm not sure if I'm really a fan of how that looks. I might opt to do just dirt, which is right here. Lovely. Okay. Just lower that down. There we go. Now we've got kind of like a, sort of like a grout sort of look in between the tiles so that it doesn't stick out too much. One of the things that I'm noticing here is these tiles could probably use just a quick rotate. Just mix things up a little bit. Make it look a little less copy-paste. Now, let's see here. I got to remember where I was last. I believe it was dungeon. No, it was not dungeon. It was exterior, wasn't it? Yes, it was. Okay. So now we got single tiles, which we are going to use like so. And I'm just realizing now, I could do something to make my life a lot easier later. I could keep this handy, because what I can do, I can paint this texture directly onto the template. So that way, when I'm done, I don't have to move anything. Unless, of course, somewhere along the line I do a pit. But I think I can work around that. But that's what I'll do for now. Just keep that handy, because we will end up using it later. Okay, but anyhow, let's get back to this. And if we can, maybe we can help things feel a little less copied if we just play around with the rotation with some of these tiles. Just a little bit. Nothing too crazy. Wonderful. Okay, let's get these out of the way. And we'll just slap those right there. And do the same thing over here. And down here. Now, we do have a staircase right over here. And it seems like it is a downward staircase. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that quite yet. I'll cross that bridge when we get there. I might opt to make this a multi-level dungeon, as a matter of fact. I might decide to actually just completely cut this passage off that leads into here and just have this part connect in here. And instead of a staircase up here, I can have a secondary room that maybe leads back underneath over here and then reconnects up at this room. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's go ahead and start filling out this room on the floor. Now, we are very fortunate here because the random map generator seemed to favor tile sets that will fit groups of 3x3 quite easily, which certainly makes this build a lot easier. But in the future, whoops, whoa, don't want to do that. I'll do more freehand stuff, sort of give you an idea of what my process is for that. And of course, we're playing around with a lot of natural shapes in that case as well. This is a little further apart than I would like it to be. So what I think I will do to compensate is I'm going to up the scale of these tiles just a bit, just so that they fill that space a little bit nicer. And something to keep in mind as well is that there will be walls lining the sides here. And since this is a 3D space that you would be ideally playing in, you don't want to make it too claustrophobic and hard to get at. There's a couple tools that you can use within the game that make that easier. My preference is, though, to sort of keep everything easily accessible right from the get-go. If you're looking for, like, set pieces and things like that, oh, yeah, in that case, go crazy. Because, those wouldn't be intended to be played on. But something kind of like a wall like this, perfectly fine for our purposes here. And I think this is not quite the 3x3, but we can get away with upscaling it like that. And just to help us keep the scale consistent, we'll go ahead and set it up kind of like a jig using the floor tiles over here. Now, one of the things I just thought about is Z-fighting in this game. Is something that's quite common. Obviously, when you have the ability to place stuff wherever you want it to, you're going to get stuff like this. And in my opinion, that doesn't look so good. However, if you're ever in a position where an overlapping piece like this is like the best option you have, all you have to do to make this Z-fighting go away is you just take note of which axis these two planes are parallel with each other on, because the idea is that you want them to overlap in a way that where they're not occupying the exact same space on that plane. So you just come up here and you could just as easily take away the point one. Boom, Z fighting gone. Same thing with this axis as well. Now in our case, we don't have to really worry about that because what we are doing is setting them flush to one another. But just something to consider for any other dungeon builds that you're doing. There's lots of flat surfaces for you to work with, where that is going to be a very common happenstance. And I'm sure that it will happen here as we are building as well. What's going on here? That's a bit strange. Am I... Snapping. Z-snap. Okay, yeah, I accidentally disabled Z-snap somehow. That's why I was having issues with the collision there. Which, yeah, if you ever wanted to turn that on and off for whatever reason, it's especially good if you're trying to set up like a real thick forest floor. Turning Z-snap off is definitely the way to go. But in our case, we're working with a template. We want it to be nice and level. We want Z-snap on. Okay, let's see here. So let's get an entryway set aside here. I think we will work with this here. That looks pretty good to me. Wonderful. Okay, so from there, let's actually set up a couple of these wall pieces here. Probably something like this. Now, we don't mind that it's clipping through a little bit on the backside. We can dress that up a little bit if we really wanted to. But for our purposes, that'll work just fine for me. Now, we'll go ahead and copy-paste the entire back wall here up, like so. And let's run it over like this. Now, I'm not going to bother with copying another wall. I'm just going to scale up both of these walls to fit the space between a little bit more nicely. There we go. Okay. And what we could do if this top part here not being level really bugs us, we can just do the same thing up here. We just stretch it to fit just like that. Boom. And let me just double check sort of the height of the wall. 20 feet. That's actually a really good number, especially if you're working with like 5th edition. That's a really good number to have. So actually, hey, happy accident. Let's stick with it. Let's see here. What we are going to want to do next is I want to try to add a sort of crumbling look to this whole thing. I don't really have a story for this dungeon, which, if you are a seasoned map maker, is a really good thing to have when you are setting about tending to the homebrew bug fever. Simply having just some cool looking dungeons is never a problem, but it helps a lot with the design process to have an idea. So for this case in particular, I'm going to go and I'm going to maybe try to generate a story for this dungeon. a narrative, if you will, to help flesh out how this dungeon's design will go. Let's see here. What do I want? I mean, I could just, yeah, you know, we'll just ask old ChatGPT. We'll just get ChatGPT involved. Really take that workload off our back here. Let's just ask it. Give me a story about a dungeon in the desert. For the purpose of design. The purpose of designing it. Okay, let's see what it gives. The Oasis Dungeon beneath the sands of Sahara. It's not even a fantasy name. I didn't have to put a whole song and dance on that. Okay, so let's see here. Wow, it's really going all out here. Okay. We got ourselves Hall of Shifting Sands. I'll have to keep that in mind. Let's see. Chamber of Illusions, Library of the Ancients, Guardian's Tomb, Central Chamber, Amulet's Sanctuary. So there's going to be an amulet in here. So perhaps we could just go with the idea of this being a proper pharaoh's tomb. Which pharaoh? Don't know. Mummy McMummerson. Or something like that. The name is not particularly important for the purposes of making it at the moment. But now I have that handy. If I need a little bit of help figuring out how this should go. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so how we are going to make this look a little bit better. Yeah, I probably could have just used this over here. But I think maybe I'll just use this as our doorway over here and over here. So I'll just set that aside, because we will use that later. And we can get as fancy as we want with these columns, too. So let's go ahead and scale these up. Yeah, that'll do. And slide that over here like this. And over here as well. Wonderful. Okay, so from here, I'm thinking... okay, so there was something about shifting sands. Let me go ahead and set this aside. This might come in handy later. I will set this aside. The stairs, or the ramp, gonna end up using that. Let's see here. This definitely is gonna get used. 100%. In fact, I might opt to perhaps throw these in the main entryway. Maybe one central piece like this. Copy paste it over, keep things nice and center. Nice. Okay, so, and then just repeat this on the other side as well. Slide this over. Boom. And give it a flip. And give it a flip. Readjust it just a touch. Just a touch. Okay. So I am noticing that it is a little off-center. That's okay, because we can just scoot it all back like this. And just to make sure that our tiles don't get too far off the mark, just give everything a little bit of a stretch, and the difference is lost to the details. Same over here as well. Stretch that out. You can see some Z fighting going on. Not a problem. We're fixing that right away. And just as a quick fix, just do that. Boom. Go ahead, scoot. Whoops. Let's get that back where that was. A little bit of Control Z goes a long way. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that looks nice. That looks good to my eyes. Okay. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to find myself a couple rocks that fit our color palette nicely. We could do these like iron splotched rocks. These desert rocks, I think, are the way we're going to go, though, because they fit that palette to a T. Yeah, and that looks like what we're going to go with as well. I don't see too many better options. Okay, and this could serve us anywhere from just a way to fill some gaps in the wall of the dungeon here. Let's see here. Now, if we'd like, what we can do is give this a flip. Let's just 90 degrees. 90 degrees. 180. Let's actually do 45. There we go. Okay. So now we've got something that's relatively flat. Let's stretch. Stretch. There we go. Stretch it up like this. And we could make it a bit thinner as well. Let's go ahead and widen it a bit. Now you can go absolutely crazy with the stretch to fill situation here. Some textures they upscale really, really well. Others not so much. So you'll just have to play around with different shapes and props before you can find out exactly what works best for stretching and what doesn't. Most of the rocks, for instance, work quite well. And you could do more or less whatever you want with those. Let's see here. Now what we will do here, I'm going to take another rock. This one is quite nice. And I am going to, maybe not this one. Maybe we'll go back to this one. This one was good. We're going to use these as sort of like a filler for some of the gaps that will no doubt be here along the base of the wall. And this will also help add a little bit of a smoother look where the floor meets the wall. And you can dress this up as much as you want, especially when it comes to rough spots like that, and maybe here. You could really serve the appearance of the dungeon by filling gaps with other props of a similar palette. If we get real close here, we can make sure that it doesn't look too jank. It looks a little jank, so what we are going to do is just move this out and then down. And this we can have right here and just move that down. There we go. Now that looks a lot better. Okay. We come over here. We're not worried about all this. That's going to be covered by wall. Let's just move that up ever so slightly so that it's not just like blatantly below the floor there. Over here, scoot that so that it properly covers that gap. Now, I'm not expecting this to be perfect, but if we can get it close-ish, then I'll be happy. All right, let's pull this wall out. And let's start putting it on here. I think what I will do, try to find a happy median here. I gotta make sure to cover that gap a bit better. Up here is okay. I can live with that. And then we go on the other side. Do that as well. Let's see here. Nice. That was pretty well. I eyeballed that pretty well. Let's come back over here and scoot this forward just a touch. Wonderful. Okay. And if we wanted to, like, dress it up to give the impression of a ceiling without actually having a ceiling, you can add, like, boulders and other structures on top to give an impression that there's a ceiling here. And adding a little bit goes a long way. Now there are some like root. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. You can get away maybe with having some of these sticking out of the wall, perhaps. Let's see here. I can maybe, yeah, here we go. Can have some of this, just like that. And if we scoot it around a little bit more, we can help accomplish a more natural look to the ceiling, quote unquote. And don't be afraid to, explore outside of the palette that you've chosen. Like some of these stones here, I believe these are. I'm not sure where these stones come from, if I'm being honest. But something like this would be really good for like some rubble. Which, you know what, we're just gonna go ahead and scatter some of that around here as well. Helps spice things up a little bit, keeps the contrast high, so that it's not all just one samey color. And of course, when we lay out the structure, we're gonna go through and like really spice this up, add a lot of details that you would otherwise want to see in a finished product. And we'll go ahead and lay down our stone here. Now I'm noticing that there's a little bit of a just like an odd angle to that. So what I want to do is see if I can't maybe play with the angle of this stone and then maybe tuck it down a bit. Yeah, that looks I mean, it's okay. It's not okay, here we go. Now we're kind of getting somewhere with this. I think we'll try to do something like that. And I'll come over here and do the same thing. And then we could just copy and paste this over. Slide it down. And this can go, and this can go. And at this point, let's go ahead and bring these out. And do it again. And again. And again. So we reach that intersection right there. And that will be our first checkpoint. All right. Let me go ahead and start bringing these out. Just like that. Wonderful. Then we grab the other set of walls, bring those out. Nice. And once more, maybe twice more. Let's see what happens. Once. Okay, so this is one of those instances where I will have to scoot these back. Maybe I can get away with scaling them back first. And that's exactly what we can do. So that way we still don't have to worry about the Z fighting here. We still accomplish the look of the corridor. These boulders down here are going to come in handy at some point. Just not sure what their role will be currently. But let's go ahead and scatter some of these around to help round out the corridor a little bit better so that it's not just a straight line of rock there in the corner. And really, you can go a bit further with this and really scale some of this up. Because now it's not just a straight corridor, you got a little bit of cover to work with there. And on top of cover, you can add a environmental hazard or something that the players can interact with while they're here. My initial thought is perhaps we can utilize one of those roots holding up what is otherwise loose boulders in the ceiling. Which, before I forget, because I am likely to do that, let me go ahead and pull out a root here. Let's go ahead and give it a rotation. And we can place some boulders here. And of course, this is going to stick out to any players on this board. Because, of course, everything else is has like some sort of structural context, whereas this, well, it's just a root holding up some boulders. So it's an invitation to interact with the environment. Let's see here. Oh yeah, just like that. And of course, we can dress it up with a few of these boulders so that these smaller ones aren't just floating there. Nice, 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 nice. Very good. Just tilt it. Call it good. Here, and do the same thing on this side. Wonderful. Nice. Okay, so that checks out for me. I'll dress that up a little bit more later, but this will give me an idea of kind of where this hazard is and where it will affect. And I'm thinking it's going to be basically this this 2x3 section right here. That's going to be where these boulders will affect if they end up being utilized at all. Will work while you do some math? Of course. Of course. Welcome. Welcome. Let's see. Nice to have you, by the way, Cybernero. I think a few more boulders right here. What I might do is put some sort of cracked spots down here. How I'm going to do that, I'm not entirely sure. But I have a few ideas. Perhaps I can have one boulder just kind of precariously smashed into the ground here already, and some of these tiles are sort of like bent up to sort of imply that there's something that fell. And, well, that will hopefully tip off the party in question coming through here to perhaps investigate why that occurred. Okay, so let's give that. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Let me adjust my angle here. There we go. Just up like that. Tilt that away. Okay, that's looking actually really good. Okay, we can tilt that up and then tilt away over here. Same song and dance on this side and over here as well. Lovely. Okay, so now that definitely looks like that fell and smashed those tiles. I put some soil aside, which I think will come in handy for this. Where did I put that? There it is. All right. Let's grab this and pull this over here. Because what we can do is we bring it down nice and low, and we flatten it out. This is a trick you can use for snow as well. Where you can take what is otherwise just a big mound and turn it into an interesting looking pile, sort of like silt, if you will. And what I can do to help pepper this up is add a couple of these small. There was some small boulders that I could utilize as well. Could slap those down, and I have to remember how to do this because this was a feature that was implemented a little bit before I had to step away for the spring. But I think if I steal the texture, put it to this, and then paint it to these rocks, yes, I can put the texture to a different set of rocks there. Beautiful. Okay, so that is quite nice. I'm going to set the oh no. How do I interact with you? There you go. Okay, that's fine. Because what I can do, I won't play around with that too much. Slide that over there. Beautiful. Okay, so now we have a telegraphed trap / hazard / toy for the party right here. I mean, I could go the extra mile and put a skeleton underneath the rocks here. I mean, if this by itself is not enough, surely the corpse underneath the boulder will go the extra mile. Skeleton. Let's see here. How do you suppose I do this? Maybe like this, where it's just this hand sticking out the side there. Maybe I do both sides. Can I actually flip this so that it's? Let's see here. Hold on a moment. 90, 180. There we go. Beautiful. Okay. And lift it up. There we go. It's very cartoonish, but you know what? I'm here for it. Let me grab my miniature for scale real quick because yeah, that's close. It's close. Yeah. Okay. So I am absolutely certain that this will tip off people that this is in fact a danger. Okay. With that, let's go ahead and continue sort of dressing up the hallway a little bit more. Let's see. Let's go back to rock. Whoops. Rock. There we go. Down to desert. Okay. And we are going to continue to kind of fill these awkward parts in the corners so that it doesn't look too bad. Right there and right here as well. Wonderful. Okay. I think this corridor is pretty much good to go. Is there anything else I would want to add to this? Perhaps I don't want to make the space above too busy. But you know what? Some inset columns might not be a bad idea. Now that I'm thinking about it, I could take these, copy them, and sort of place them. What would be a good interval? Every 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I lost my count. Let's figure this out. There is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 18, if we do it every 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that should end up being pretty good. Plus, one of these sections of columns will be equidistant from the trap area, further emphasizing its location. Alrighty, let's grab the other set of columns and slap them down right there. And now that we've got columns here, let me actually reorganize some of these stones so that they are a bit more, no, a bit less awkward, we'll say. Beautiful. Okay. I think this, just to help cover up the floating pieces. Over here, I'll go ahead and do the same. Can I lift this up a little bit more? Yes, I can. Okay, wonderful. So, the corridor, and what I could do for now is I want to grab another pure material, and I want to set up a entryway up here. I'm not sure how this is going to look necessarily, so I'm just going to give it a shot and see what happens. Rounded tiling. That's wood. Is there stone? Yeah, this is close enough. It's not stone, but it's not so far removed from the palette that it would stick out like a sore thumb. It occurs to me that I need some kind of like entrance zone, somewhere where the players can start properly. I gotta take a sip of water. Starting to get a little dry mouth. Very good. Okay, so I think at this point, what we can do to dress up this entrance chamber a little bit more is some pottery, vase. Yeah, here we go. Some of this stuff will go a long way in breaking up the regularity of the entrance here. I do have like some of these stones strewn about, which it's something. But I would like to have a little bit more going on in this entryway. Okay, I think that is good for the moment. And let me go ahead and get down inside the entryway here, and let me actually adjust the lighting. Let me try to get an idea for the mood of the dungeon. Let's see here. Get a good angle here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so I'm thinking it'll probably be night or maybe early day, early morning. Yeah, that feels right. That feels good. Okay. And then turn that brightness down just a bit. The contrast at the moment doesn't seem to do anything. The sky tint. Interesting. Okay, so that is unable to be adjusted at the moment. Turn up saturation a bit more. Clear skies, no. Well, maybe I will keep clear skies actually. Let's see here, cloud height. Well, let's try cloudy. Let's see kind of what that does for the vibe. Eh, doesn't really change too much. Let's actually switch to foggy. It's like that's a nice go-to for uh dungeons, interior maps. Okay. Wonderful. And of course, we will turn up the temperature so that uh the colors appear more warm, giving it sort of an arid. I almost wanted to say arid air, but my 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 speech center was like, no, that's stupid. Come on with something different. Uh, but an arid aura. There we go. That sounds a bit better. Let's play around with the filters. We're not going to keep these on, but we'll have them for the purpose of the appearance. That's kind of cool. I like the Futurama filter a little bit. Enhanced, maybe a bit. That's a bit much. Darkened. No, definitely not. Bloom. Okay, that actually might not be too bad. It does help lean into uh, the desert themes going on here. Jade is also not bad. That's actually great for an underground desert appearance. I think, yeah, let me keep Jade in mind. And I'll come back to that. So, let's see here. I think maybe as well might be a good idea to add some torches in here. Torch. And I think we'll do like these small torches. Yeah, that's looking nice. And I think what we will do for this dungeon in particular is instead of just going with a pharaoh's tomb, perhaps what we'll do is go with the narrative that there's a band of criminals that are looking to steal the treasure within and perhaps even enslave the pharaoh present here to their service. Let's see, we're also going to turn intensity down. Keep keep the vibe strong. And the size can be shrunk down. Nice. Very good. We can paste these at the entrance. So close. Okay. So let's scoot that. And then scoot that. Brilliant. Alrighty. Let me adjust that intensity. And same over here as well. Oh, hold on now. 20%-ish. Yeah, about 20%. And over here, 20%-ish. Beautiful. Okay, so I think that puts our entryway in a really good spot. I might go back and add a like a checkpoint here for maybe uh, some guards that are posted. In fact, let's go ahead and do that right now. Table. parts is going to be kind of thrown together. That's the idea that we're going with. Let me go to the village set. I believe the village set had some furniture that would go well here. All right. And can have a bench over here. And in the corner here, we can have a shelf that will be dedicated to stolen loot, gold, idols, gems, and such. I think we can put down, of course, the classic sausage. No plate, just sausage. And some corn. And a cabbage. Wait, that's not, is that a cabbage? Or is that cauliflower? I couldn't tell you the difference. Radish. And pepper, 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 pepper. Yeah. Okay, can I put all of this on a... that's not how you spell plate. Plate. There we go. It's a little fancy, but you know what? Hey. When in a pharaoh's tomb that doesn't belong to you. Now let's get nice and close here for this. And scoot that. Let's give it a rotation. There we go. That looks all right. Stick with that. And then plate for the sausage, the radish, and the corn. Wonderful. Okay, and how could we forget the cauliflower? We can't. That's the answer. Candle. Well, that is a bright candle. We are going to fix that. Okay, let's see here. Bring that intensity way, 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 way down. 10%. Beautiful. Nice. Okay. So now our entryway guards have something to do while they're sitting here waiting for the party to show up and kick their butts. Let's see here. Treasure. Gold. Here we go. Okay, now we're talking. That is a mighty big bag of gold. But you know what? That's fine. Sort of sprinkle some treasure out here in the front to more or less tease what wealth lies beyond. And perhaps they'll keep going. Could have this right here. Nah, that one's for deeper inside. You don't give them the big box of gold until they're like way in there. You know, when you could close the door on them and be like, all right, you are committed. Tough luck, soldier. Okay, so the entryway is taken care of. Oh, almost forgot. I gotta check to see if things are good for scale here. And at a glance, that looks pretty good to me. That doesn't seem freakishly big or small. I mean, that radish is huge. Those peppers are huge, but the fantasy peppers. It's fantasy peppers. It's fine. Does copy pasting lights keep the settings of it? I do not believe it does. At least not currently. I don't recall ever talking about that with Mark or any of the other devs. But let's see. It looks like it does. Somebody must have mentioned it at some point, but yes, it does in fact work. I think where you run into issues is when you try to do more than one light source at a time. But let's see. So, let's see. Yeah, so, okay, so when you try to do more than one light source at a time, that's when things get a little screwy. So if you're doing one light source at a time, then you're fine. More than one is where you start running into issues. Oh, hey, thanks for the follow. I appreciate that. You know what? I lied about the gold. 1 bar of gold, just one. Um, and I think that's where I got to get away from that entryway. Otherwise, I'm gonna spend like uh, the next hour on that entryway on its own. So instead, what we will do, um, my eye is being drawn to this set of rooms over here, and I think over here is going to be uh, a sort of, how do we say, tomb robbing situation going on over here. There's going to be X number of bandits or sorcerers or warlocks or whatever you can imagine. Me personally, I would pick warlocks because I think warlocks are cool. Um, let's see here. Let's go ahead and fill out the rest of this chamber before we start adding walls to it. Now, this little gap here is something that we can work with. Let's go ahead and give this a bit of a stretch. Scoot it over and do the same thing over here as well. Boom. Just like that. And of course, the difference is lost in the details. You don't have to worry too much about everything being perfectly square. Obviously, it's going to be a little different when you actually go to play on this board. But that's the beautiful thing about GME. You don't have to get things perfectly square. Now, in this case, let's go ahead and... Actually, there are some single tiles that we can use on this, which we could just pull from right here. Wonderful. Okay. Just like that. Okay, wonderful. And it looks like this is not quite center with a 3x3 piece, but that's okay. We can make that work. No problem. We'll just go ahead and pull some single tiles out. And I'm going to break from the stencil just a little bit because I don't want to be married to it. We haven't even gone out once. And I'd rather not get committed to a stencil that doesn't even know me. All right. So let's go ahead and slap these down. Let's see if we can maybe shrink these just a bit, because I think they might be a bit large for our purposes here. Yes. Yes. Very good. Excellent. It looks good. It is good, yeah. Okay, sliding this over. Let's go ahead and flip a couple of these around. Ah, see some Z fighting going on there? Let's go ahead and fix that. And how you go about doing that, there's a couple of ways. You could squish it, you could slide it around, but as long as you adjust the axis that you're getting that Z fighting on, just a little bit. That's all you need. It just needs to not be on the exact same plane. And that Z fighting goes away. Any other slight imperfections that you get from doing that, you can hide that with other props. And I will show you how to do that in just a minute here, once I've actually gotten this squared away here. Let's go ahead and do 1 and then 2. Let's go ahead and rotate a few of these, just so that they are not so wildly, obviously, copy-pasted. Because that's one thing that I do my very best to avoid, are things that are obviously copy-pasted. Okay, so from here, let's go ahead and finish off this section, which should be easy enough. You just grab those, pull those down. Let's do our due diligence and flip those around a few times. And then, oh, beautiful. Just a 3x3. Just slide it right into place, right there. Boom. There is that little gap there, but I have a plan for that, which I am going to go ahead and pull this right here. And what we're going to do here, now this looks like nonsense, but what we can do, and there's a few props like this, particularly when you're using snow. If you squish this down, look at what happens. Boom. That is some good looking dirt, if I do say so myself. That's some good dirt right there. uh, so let's go ahead and start putting up the walls in here. And the wall sections I think I'm going to want to use. Let's go ahead and grab this, this one, and this one. Let's just pull all of those over here. Nice. Okay. Very good. So first, we can set this in place right here. And I need a plan for this gap right here, this little two block gap. The easy solution is to take one of these walls, squish it down, slap it in the middle. But when I do that, I think I'm going to have the issue where the texture is going to look very sad, very squoshed. Okay, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Not even close. So I might actually go with that. But before I commit to that decision, let me check. What was it? Dungeon, I think is what it was. No, it wasn't dungeon. It was exterior. Yes, here we go. Okay, so perhaps I can do something fancy with maybe like, I don't know, something like this. Just as a little alcove. Maybe there could be a little fountain or something right here. I haven't really decided yet, but anything to make this this transition to the other room feel more weighty, more interesting. And I could put some torchlight, at the very least, in here. If I can't find something that fits the alcove the way I want it to. So my first thought here is let's check out. Okay, I'm seeing this right here. These props with like the crystals on it. The palette is not quite the same, but that might not be a problem. My monkey brain is saying use it for something. But I think what I'll do is set it aside, and if something strikes me later, then we'll find a place for it. But for now, I want to stay focused on task and see if maybe there's a fountain or something that we can fit in here that might fit. This is looking pretty good, actually. It's not perfect, but we can change the palette texture so that it looks like it belongs. So let me grab, where was it? Did I delete the cube? I think I did. That's fine. We'll grab another one right here. So right here, and once again, I have to remember how this works. Maybe I grab that and paint it to this. Ooh, actually, yeah. Okay. That's really good. I like that a lot. Let me go ahead and try to make this fit a little better. Give it a little bit of a stretch, maybe. Ooh, I don't know if I can make that work the way we want to do it. Let's push it. Let's really push it. See if we can get it to look a little nicer. Oh, I could use that pile of dirt. That pile of dirt that looks really nice. Bring it over here and unsquish it so that it fills the bottom there and kind of spills out around it. Ooh, okay. Yeah. Now we're cooking with gasoline. I also think I can take maybe some water. Just a small, some fancy fountains here. Not really fitting for what we're going for, but maybe another one. Maybe sometime in the future. Okay. Whoa. All right. Let's go ahead and try this. We'll shrink it down, bring it in just like that. And that looks pretty good, actually. Let me put down a torch. Torch with a J. There we go. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we could absolutely make this work. Okay, so let's slap this up here. Pull it down so that you can reach it. Maybe put one on either side. We'll go ahead and lower that intensity down because you want to maintain the mood. Unless what you're going for is so wildly bright. Hey man, I enjoy what you're doing. I've been building a whole continent in game. To be honest, I do need to get on dungeons though, as mostly it's just caves. Yeah, I feel you, man. Thanks for the follow, Major Winnie. Thank you so much. But yeah, no, broadening your horizons is it's always an interesting process. I remember when I first started, I was very much on like the one trick horse train. It is it's a comfortable place to be. But you get really good at that one thing. So it's not a totally negative thing. The trick is to really challenge yourself and put forth a like a goal for building something else. Even if you think it looks bad, you're still going to better yourself by going out and doing it. Because of course, if you go out and do something perfect the first time, well then why would you ever do it again? But anyways, the fountain here, I think, will help dress up this transition to the next room quite nicely. So let's go ahead and slide this over right there. And grab this again down here. And I don't want to mirror the fountain exactly. But maybe put some sort of contrasting element on this wall right here. And I'm not sure what that could be. Perhaps let's go to cemetery real quick and see what sort of like interesting shapes we can play with here. Because there is quite a bit going on here that you can utilize to make things look really, really good. The Gothic architecture, I'm a huge fan of that, but it's not exactly like fitting to the theme here. But something maybe like this. Been wanting to do this for years and just found out about the engine about a month or two ago. Oh, dude, yeah, and it's come so far, so very far, in just the last year alone. The dev team for this game is, they're phenomenal people, very driven as well, highly communicative. They take all kinds of suggestions. Of course, their limitations are always going to be based in what the engine is capable of doing. But knowing Mark, who's he's the dev that I communicate with most often. Knowing Mark, he will try to move mountains to achieve the desired features that people throw out there for him to try. Let me paint this. Okay, yeah, see that looks really good. Come on, give me. There we go. Okay, beautiful. Just set that aside. So now we have the transition here, which I think will do quite nicely, and we can maybe even throw in like a little trinket or something right there. But we'll worry about that. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. I remember there was like treasure. It was like a particular. Ooh, okay. Mysterious vase, or I'm sorry, potion bottle. Have a sip. I dare you. Go ahead. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. And there could be like a plaque or something underneath here. Um, tablet. What could I tablet? Um, sign. Maybe I can do. Oh no, spline mode. Yeah, we don't want to work with splines at the moment. That is purely an experimental feature. Uh, what's the paint hotkey? I keep forgetting. Paint hotkey. Um, I'm not sure I know what you mean by paint hotkey. Uh, the are you referring to like the paints that you put on the tiles here? But a tablet would be really nice to have here. And I might. Ooh, okay, okay. Here we go. Here we go. We can definitely work with this, for instance, um, and painting. Ah, that's what you meant. Okay, I see. I see. So, it is control and right click. When you have the what's it called? The simple shape, which is available over here in your GM tools. And it always shows up as this untextured block. And once you slap it down, control right click brings up this menu here, and you can texture pick from any prop in the game. Um, and if it's something that uh, lets you, if it's a prop that has multiple layers to it, you can change which layer that it's painted onto with this. Now, I'm not intensely familiar with which props have multiple layers and can be changed individually. But there's a lot of sci-fi props that you can do a lot of really interesting stuff with. The buildings in particular, they have like 7 layers to them, and you can do all sorts of crazy stuff with them, uh, involving the painting tool there in the what you call it? I keep forgetting it. Simple shape. That's what it is. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and put this here, and just so that I don't forget, um, let's see, what would be a good? Okay, yeah, put a pin here, and the pin will help me remember details about that space. Boom. And let's just go ahead and make a note. Mysterious potion and uh weirdly clean fountain. And we'll refer to this as just A1 for the moment because I do not know what the end game is exactly with this, but I want to remember that there is something significant here. Nobody knows all the props in this. Yeah, no, absolutely not. It's just it's an absolute smorgasbord, but it's the kind of smorgasbord that you wanna be in. So let's go ahead and start filling this out. And I know that I set the mood to be like really dim-ish, but we're gonna turn up the light so that I can see what I'm doing a little bit better. There is a tool that you can use. Um, if you hit L, you have a little spotlight now. That was something that was updated a few months back. Very handy tool to have. Not visible to players. It is uh, client side only. Uh, Honestly, the biggest issue I've run into with GME so far is trying to work with interior spaces, making an editing interior and exterior, like dungeon caves and their surrounding mountains. I keep getting a lot of either gaps or intrusions. Okay, yeah, so um, that is something that uh, given enough time, you can actually work with that. Um, what I'm doing for this dungeon in particular is I'm taking care not to put a cap on it, or a ceiling on it, because of course this is a 3-dimensional space. If you really wanted to put a ceiling on this, you could do it, um, but for ease of access, especially since this is just a fully underground space anyway, unless there's an element that's particularly important, like say for example this like pile of rocks up here held aloft by a root, which is a interactable part of the dungeon. It's telegraphed by, it's the only thing right there. There's an element down here that gives like, some that telegraphs some danger evidenced by somebody's unfortunate encounter with one loose rock. But the intrusions and the gaps, you can fill those with pretty much anything and make it look good as long as like the palette is with it. Like you'll notice right now, the gaps between these tiles is very noticeable, but that's because I've got everything up on this little template right here at the moment. When I am done with the template, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take something like this over here, which let me go ahead and turn my sun back on and get rid of the fog for the moment because we don't need that right now. The mood will come later, I promise. The vibes will be there when we get there. But yeah, having something like this underneath the tiles, and I'll pull it over here just so you can get a really good feel for, excuse me, while I futz about here and get situated. Okay, here we go. So, if you set it like so, and you utilize the trick I did before with the paint, the painter tool on the simple shapes, let's come back over here, do that, and then we can paint that, just like that. So now we have a uniform color to go in those gaps. And that is how I am going to fill things out. I might decide to do a slightly different color, something to add a little extra contrast later, but this is generally the idea that I'm going with. I might do something dark just to emphasize the gaps, or darker, we'll say. But I will cross that bridge when I get there. The intention now is to fill out these rooms and actually get them in place and set up their function first. And then the form comes after the fact. At least that's the way that works best for my workflow. Your workflow can be whatever works best for you. I don't want to be the guy that says that everything must be just so, because that's just not a good it's not a good practice to have. Because eventually you're going to hit a wall with whatever your style is, and eventually you'll have to try new things. Makes it kind of look like grout. Yeah, and that was kind of my thoughts originally. Is having some sort of like dark gray grout looking subtexture just resting underneath the tiles. But I think I will do this part next, but let me work on this over here. Actually, I lied. This part will come last because this and this are on the same level as this hallway. This goes down, which is why I have the whole thing elevated like that. Which that'll be... that doing multiple levels with the template is a lot of fun. The trick is just knowing exactly how far down you need to go. The way that I have it set up here is that these walls are about 20 feet high from the floor. And if you get out your fancy measuring tool, you can actually see it's pretty close to 20 feet. For all intents and purposes, it is about 20 feet. And I might not have the ceilings be as high on the lower levels. Maybe I'll just have them be 10 feet. But also having like a lower area over here that's not underneath all of this helps to make things a bit more accessible for the actual playmat element of things. But I'm getting kind of lost in the weeds here. Let me get back to finishing this hallway. And let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I might do a set of columns here, and then one at the corner, and then 2 here as well. So let's go ahead and slide this over here. Let's get in here, scoot this over, just like that. We don't want it to be too claustrophobic. In fact, let me get a mini out here just to see what we're working with. Yeah, that's looking all right. It's an interesting method. I haven't done much since before Simple Shape was a thing, so it's neat to see that it could be used to solve those types of issues. So, oh yeah, yeah, it is an incredibly versatile tool. Um, and I've used it for pretty much every single map that I've built. Um, it's a lifesaver. It really elevates this from being a good uh, VTT builder to a fantastic VTT builder. Me, I tend to pretty much make the dungeons as I go, but I give like 10, 20 feet of headroom. Yeah, because you never know what the party's going to pull out of their pocket. If somebody has like a way to climb walls or to do some vertical movement, you want to be accommodating to that. Unless, of course, the encounter design involves you really like boxing in your players and forcing them to go through whatever dire circumstance you have planned for them. But that's not what we're doing here for this particular part. Not yet, anyway. Rubs hands. But let me go ahead and grab these columns and set those up in the spots that I had picked before. So it's every 5 tiles. 2, 3, 4, 5. Booyah. Just like that. And then again over here, and then we can have this one duplicated and set up right there at the corner. You know, I don't know if I'm necessarily a fan of that, but let's roll with it for the moment and see how we feel about it once we get the walls up there. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and slide this over here, just like that. And I think I will just squish this down because as it so happens, this set of walls plays very nicely with the stretch tool. There's been more than one occasion where I try to squish down some props, and it ends up looking a little weird because the way that the texture resolution fits on the object, it doesn't always play nice. Which is unfortunate when you have something that's like perfect, but it just doesn't quite fit. So you have to really like reach into your bag of tricks to make it fit. Okay, see here's where we have an issue with shaping, and I'm going to take a bit of liberty here and increase the size of that column and scoot it so that it's covering that corner a little bit better. That way, the corner is well, here I'll show you what I mean. The corner looked a little weird because obviously like the sides of this prop don't match up at all with what's going on. He's just standing there menacingly. Why won't he do anything? Oh my goodness. Okay, so and with that corner address, I think everything else checks out. Maybe I can pull this out just a bit so it doesn't look so like in there. It's not sucking in its tummy just to fit in the corner there. Let's go ahead with this wall. We'll pull this down here. And I'm actually okay with it looking like this because it helps frame the doorway a little bit. So context in the in the dungeon, or I'm sorry, in depending on where you are in your dungeon, is very important. Let me go ahead and flip this around. Actually, be easier to size the way that I need it to. But yeah, contextually, this works good at the doorway. Not so much over here. But that's just my opinion. I can absolutely see an exception to every rule. But what little I remember about my my art theory is you understand the rules better so that you can break them. Which is like, so it's very rebel energy. And I'm here for it. Okay, so same problem here in the corner where these bricks don't quite, I mean, it kind of works, but then there's parts like this that are like a little unappealing to my eye. which is fine because then we could just pull another column and just stick it in the corner there like it never happened. You can always, always, always dress up little imperfections like that. So don't be discouraged anytime you're doing like interior builds. If something looks a little weird, you can always come back and dress it up a little bit later. And you could even, make an entire thing out of it as well. Um, much like we did over here in this little alcove where now we have like a weird fountain and a mysterious potion, which I don't even know what it does, but I think it looks cool. I think it's interesting. It gives players something interesting to do and look at, like immediately after what is inevitably going to be like a hook encounter for the dungeon, where you have some guards up here, and maybe they have like a beast to aid them, and then like they call for help, and some guys come down here, and they take up positions in the hallway. You see these rocks, and you're like, that's a great idea. The wizard fireball that, or firebolt, because would be low level ideally. But anyhow, I don't want to get too lost in the weeds here. So let me go ahead and start moving some of this in the way. Okay, so here is a part of the dungeon that is going to require just a little bit of creativity. And I already kind of have a solution for this, so I'm cheating. But just keep this in mind anytime that you build. Having elements that repeat in the dungeon is not a bad thing, especially if it's like thematic or the color palette happens to match up quite well. And having some elements that are a little bit different compared to the rest of the surroundings will go such a long way in making your dungeon space feel more varied, which is something that definitely was a problem for me when I first started making dungeons. Not just in Game Master Engine, but just as like conceptually for tabletopping and all that. Having interesting stuff to look at is just as important as having interesting stuff to do. So, and you can translate that very easily into Game Master Engine. All right, let's go ahead and pull this down here and flip, slide it over. Nice. Okay, so the tiles, we'll go ahead and start pasting those in. And I'm actually totally okay with there being space. As we've talked about before, the space is going to be filled out later by a texture underneath. So we are not worried about that. Even if it comes up against the wall in a weird way here, we can actually work with that. So we just grab our whole section. We could scoot it out far enough so that it works. Just like that. Beautiful. And like I said before, the stencil here, it's a guideline. It's not something to follow to a T. And you'll be so much better off as a result. Let me go ahead and scoot this forward. Let's see. A little bit back. There we go. Okay. Wonderful. Gotta take a sip of water. I'm starting to get dry mouth. My mouth is dry. It's all this desert theme. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so let me consider the spacing for the tiles. So we have room to put tiles on either side, and then a single row of 2x6 here in the middle. So let's go ahead and grab some of these 3x3s, and let's drag them over. And I think for this room in particular, I'm going to extend it back a little bit. For no other reason than, in my mind, I'm thinking, how many move actions is it going to take for somebody to clear this hallway and reach the end? And in this case, I'm thinking mechanically, if they dash, they could spend their whole turn and reach the end of the room and pressure some enemy element at the far end of this room. Alternatively, they could spend their move reaching cover instead, and then working out another possible uh, avenue of problem solving for this particular encounter, whatever that encounter might be, by the way. But in my head, I am thinking uh, caster in the back over here, um, and possibly like two beefy guys in the middle here. Uh, that's what comes to mind. I'm thinking this might be like a barracks sort of situation. Um, so I will decorate it as such. So let's go ahead and fill this centerpiece. Of course, once again, taking care to rotating some of these pieces so that it's not so obviously copy pasted. And you can go the extra mile and stretch a couple so that they're like not exactly the same size either. I mean, hell, you could get crazy and just stretch them one way. Whoa, careful now. Uh, don't hurt yourself, Delta. Uh, let's go ahead and pull these up here. Beautiful. Okay, and then we'll finish it off by going up here. Once again, give a few of these a couple flicks. And I think these center ones could use a little bit of a stretch. We'll give that one a squash. Give this one not a stretch that way, but a stretch this way. And scoot it just a touch there. Okay, wonderful. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and slap a wall here. And I think I need to, yes, it's perfect where it is. Scoot it there. We will grab one of these sections right here and have it as close as we can get it to the other prop before it clips through. And then we'll take this and we'll place it on top of here, which to accomplish that, you got to make sure that your Z snap is on. That is the thing that recognizes collision. It is really handy for dungeon building, but if you're doing like a natural landscape or something like that, where there's a lot of clipping going on, you're working with bushes or things with weird collision for the props, then you could turn that off and your results will be much better. So let's go ahead and drag this over here. Flip, flip, and then give it a slide and another slide. And you'll notice that we've got like a little gap right here. And I think what we are going to do with that, just to help spice up the profile of this dungeon, I think I might add like some dirt or something up here with a few roots that kind of like cascade down, some rubble at the bottom there. Because while your players are kind of looking down at this, it's good to keep in mind that a little bit of visual flair goes a long way in helping to keep things interesting. There are, of course, options in Game Master Engine for top-down, which I believe this is one such option. It is, I'm not even sure what this one does. I don't know what. Oh, yeah. Okay, so don't ask me about that because I'm not sure what that is. I have not played with that. But that is something I will have to look into, and I will cover that on future workshops. Let's see here. We'll go ahead and just have the one side be ruined. And we'll make this side perfectly structurally intact. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. All right, and we'll go ahead and grab a couple of these walls, slide them down, and slide it over. This one also needs to be slid over. It occurs to me I need to get these out, flip that, grab everything, and slide it down. Wonderful. Okay. Let me just make sure that things are aligned the way I think they should be. Give that just a little bit of a stretch, slide it back, and behind the first set of walls, there's a bit of a gap going on here. And you know what? I'm going to do something kind of nuts. Just give it just a little jank. Just a little jank. Because remember, this is a dungeon. This is a dungeon, and a little bit of jank goes a long way. And I think what we will do for that, within orthographic is a fully top-down camera. You'll not be able to see the sides of the walls. They are to the side. You will just see the top part of every prop. Ah, okay, gotcha. I see. So, I'm going to fall back on something that I used in the entrance. I'm going to grab one of these stones, pull that over here, and let's give it a flipperone. Do you like flipperone on your pizza? Let's slide this over here. And then closer to the bottom, we can have another section that juts out, not that far, but like there. So that there's a little bit of a, like the depth is different towards the bottom than it is towards the top. And what we can do as well to help sell this whole section here, we can keep the tiles, but let's grab some of this soil/sand, and we can have it in the corner here, just like that, to sort of imply softer ground, or, you know, ground that has failed. We can flatten it out just a bit, and then slide it out from the corner, just like that. Wonderful. Okay, so, and up here, let's go ahead and see if we can't fish out some better stones to convey a subterranean situation. And I think, not those. Ah, okay, here we go. So these jungle ones might not jive with the palette. Hi, Wolf. Welcome to the stream, my guy. I think we can go with something different. Because this isn't quite going to fit the theme that we've got here. But let me go ahead and see if I can't make it work by painting a texture onto the rock in question. Oh yeah. Okay. That's okay. That's kind of what we're going for. Sort of, kind of. So let's go ahead then and give this a little bit of a stretch. Hold on. There we go. Bit of a stretch, and let's give that a tilt, and then back this way. Wonderful. Okay. And then what we could do is let's grab some more rocks. And we could pepper the edges like this. Booyah. And booyah. Give that a bit of a rotate and a rotate. I haven't seen this game before. I assume this is some kind of sort of editor. What is the gameplay like? Okay, yeah, so this is a virtual tabletop application called Game Master Engine. It's currently available on Steam. It's free to play, and it gives you a big amount of access to a bunch of stuff. Also, it's worth noting that if somebody you are playing with has the full version, the Game Master's Edition, then you don't have to pay a cent. Um, one person owns the game, and everybody can play and not have to pay a cent, which I think is a fantastic business model. But yeah, it's essentially a tabletop map builder and a virtual tabletop built in. You got your dice rollers, you got some chat options here, miniatures for days, initiative tracker, character sheets uh, that you can build into the game, measuring tools. Um, but my personal fascination with this game comes with its atmosphere, because there's a lot that you can do to really make these maps like stand out, um, and it stands head and shoulders above other uh, virtual tabletops, in my opinion. My humble opinion. Okay, so with that, I think what might help sell this a bit more is some rubble down here, because it's looking a little barren down there. Rubble. Yes. Beautiful. Okay. Stack that there. And we can actually do this. That works nicely. Rotate, lower it just a bit. There we go. Wonderful. If I remember right, is there a giveaway right now? Check out the Discord. Yes, absolutely. There is, in fact, a giveaway going on right now in the Game Master Engine Discord. Let's see here. I am not sure if I can generate a link to the Discord. Let me see. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so if you are interested, you can check out the Discord using this link here. Um, excuse me while I navigate my bazillion tabs. Ta. There you go. Alrighty. So, uh, with that, oh, you know what? It would help to tell you what channel the giveaway is taking place in right now. Let me see here. Giveaway. So yeah, if you check out, I think it's announcements. Yes, that is correct. So yeah, if you go check out announcements, they have details for the giveaway right there. Alrighty. So let's see here. Make sure I've got my OBS up again. There we go. Beautiful. I have two monitors, and it's not enough. Probably pick it up without getting it for free just to support the devs someday. The link would be nice for other people. Oh yeah, absolutely. And hey, they'll highly appreciate your patronage. This game is absolutely 100%. Let me try that again. This game is 110% worth it. It has been probably my favorite virtual tabletop experience thus far. And it's only been getting better and better as time goes forward. But whoa, did I just? Oh yeah. I went and I machine gun fingered that copy paste. That's okay. It's all right. We don't mind. Let's go ahead and yeah, that should actually fit quite nicely. So we can fill out the other side over here, like so. Okay, those are thin sections. Let me grab a long section. Pull it over, give it a flip. And that should fit quite well. We do got a little bit of Z fighting going on here, but that's okay. Once again, just do the simplest adjustment to its coordinates, and you are set. Nice. Okay, and then bring that whole assembly over here to the side. And let's set it up in such a way where it's right up against the tiles, just like that. Okay, wonderful. And I might try to add a column in the corners here to help dress up this rough overlap going on right here. Let's go ahead and grab this column and let's drag it over. And because we are trying to sell like a little bit of a jank section here, we'll just go ahead and give it a bit of a just the slightest tilt. Not even enough to hardly be noticeable, but enough so that it's kind of in line. Developers create their own engine for this, or does it use something like it uses Unreal Engine 5, I believe is what we're on now. They just did a update from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5. So I would argue that there has been no better time to pick it up than right now, because now you won't have to worry about some of your maps getting lost in the transfer. But the way that I look at it is Unreal 4 currently updating to 5. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Let's see here. I think that more or less dresses up that corner the way that I want it to. So let's go ahead and pull this over here. And we'll stick it in the corner like that. Maybe a bit less in the corner? Yeah, a little less in the corner. Because we want it to jump out a little bit. And we'll go ahead and add columns to the other corners as well. Just pull that over there. Just like that. And just like that. Beta version is 4.2. Okay, gotcha, yeah. The version that that I'm running right now, I think, is still 4. I did have a chance to take a peek at 5, but it is not quite ready to be pushed to it's not quite ready yet. I would say there's still a few kinks that need to be ironed out before that's ready to go. But even still, what I saw that what 5 does to the lighting engine, it really adds so much sparkle. I love it. Not literal sparkle, but like, figurative sparkle. Let's see here. Now, of course, granted, a lot of this information could be old at this point, because the last I was familiar with an update about sort of the process was about a month ago, I believe. And since then, I've been quite busy because, of course, streaming is not the it's not the day job. It doesn't bring home the bread. I have a whole nother aspect of my life that I attend to, which unfortunately means I have to spend less time engaged with the project here. But obviously, at least for the duration of the summer, I will be doing these workshops on the regular, which means I will be communicating with Mark on the regular, as well as the other devs if they so happen to be around. But yeah, the overall the project is going really, really well, and I'm really excited to see kind of where we end up a year from now, because I'm stoked, straight stoked, to see how things pan out at that point. Because seeing the progress that this game has made in the few years that I've been following it has been just phenomenal. Hats off to all the devs. They do such a fantastic job. Give them your money. They deserve it. But yeah, So, where what did I say this room was again? There was like it was like a dig site. That's right. It was a dig site. Like some classic grave robbing taking place here. I think for this corner, I'm gonna stretch that so that it'll fit. Probably be picking up Vintage Story tomorrow. Wasn't able to do it yesterday since the banks are closed. Wasn't able to get the money on my debit card. Yeah, that's a shame. Hate that so much. But yeah, no, there's absolutely no rush, man. Um, just as a reminder, um, the the title is available on itch.io, so you might want to spend some time tonight if you plan on picking it up, setting up a itch.io account if you don't have one already. And just as a heads up, when you purchase Vintage Story, there's a bit of a process that kind of threw me for a loop. Um, they send you an email confirmation which gives you a link to the download of the game. I didn't know that, and I was sitting there trying to play an outdated version that kept trying to update itself to a version that it couldn't access because I don't know, something programming. So check your email when you buy the game. That is the answer to the riddle that you will inevitably encounter when you go to buy that game. I already have one. I like to participate in the game jams very occasionally. Oh, well, snap! You'll have to show me what you brewed up for uh, a game jam one of these days. I'd be very interested to see that. Uh, let's go ahead and grab these small sections here. And once again, I'm going to reuse an element that I've been using in this dungeon so far, which is cracked sections of walls. Do 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 do. Uh, we're gonna definitely fill this with something. But the question is, what do I want to fill it with? Uh, probably a maybe. I don't know. Maybe we can use like a column. I know that that's been my go-to um, for filling these gaps on the walls, but sometimes the simple answer is the right answer, and that already just looks really nice. So, and I got to remember to add some rubble down here. So you know what? We're just gonna go ahead and snag a little bit of this and bring it over here. And we're going to put that right at the base, just right there. And we can grab this, bring that over here, and we could slide it in the corner just like that. That's not clipping through anywhere else, is it? I don't think so. In fact, we could probably have it come up like that. Now that's a look. Okay. We'll give it just a bit of a tilt. Just a little bit of a tilt. Okay. And what we could do as well, let's add some more rocks. Rock. Right in here. Go ahead and size that up. Give it a rotate so it fits that edge nicely. Plop that right there. We'll do the same thing on this side. Just like that. And I think what I will do as well to help sort of dress up the this part of the map, because there's a lot of negative space here that doesn't really matter if we like cover it. We can add some of this in here as well to give the impression of like a rocky sort of layer that is above the ceilings. Sort of like, if you will, like how it's the same purpose as cross hatching in a lot of hand-drawn maps serve, which is to fill that negative space with stuff. So just like that, and you can see how that does help to fill things out a little bit. Is it perfect? I don't know. It looks good to me. So, let's go ahead and just stick a rock right here as well, just to fill that corner. Yeah, right there. Beautiful. And just boop, boop, and boop. Don't get too fancy with it. Boop, just like that. Wonderful. Okay, so didn't end up being a significant part of the project in the end. I learned things and it was pretty fun. And that's, you know what, that's always a win. Even if it doesn't get published or anything like that, or even if it just sits in your hard drive. The fact is, you learned something, and you're always winning when you're learning something. I think I'm also going to put a column right here to help sort of emphasize a passage into here. I think what I might do as well, I'm going to add like an actual doorway or something right here. Add a dino skeleton for some sort of skeleton. Ooh, yeah. You know what? I like that idea. I like that a lot. We're going to do that. Skeleton. Okay. Bones. Yeah, look at that. Kind of gives you the idea, or it really does reinforce the idea that this is, in fact, a tomb. Oh, but you know what? Hold on. We are going to put this here, and we're going to have somebody's bony hands reaching up from the grave. There we go. Look at that. Yeah. Give it a rotate. Lift it up. Yeah, just like that. And I think that's pretty well. Oh no, I was way off. Whoa, what's depth perception? You tell me, because I clearly don't have it. Alrighty, there we go. That's better. Nice. A dino skeleton would be a cool thing to add. Ooh, okay, those are some pretty big bones. That would pass as some dino bones. Oh yeah, that's the ticket. That was a really good idea. I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan. Nice. All right. Beautiful. Didn't end up being a significant. One of the. Oh yeah, no, I 100% skipped right over that. My apologies, Wolf. One of the more recent ones I participated was led by one of my other friends, Jimmy. Usually, take them on solo or lead, but I decided it would probably be a good idea to learn how to create somebody else's vision. So for that one, he led. It was called Frog with a Sword. The theme was It Spreads, and we settled on a fluid simulation. Okay. Yeah, I think you were talking about fluid simulations the other day. So was that the first time that you did fluid simulations uh, in a game engine like that? I think. Oh, I already have like some stones that would fit this gap very nicely right over here. Just steal some of these. And let's go ahead and pull them over here. And just slide them down into the gap, just like that. Now we're getting somewhere. Look at that. And uh, it helps to make the walls feel quite thick. Oh, sorry. Need another drink of water. Depth perception is hard to do without shadows, especially since you're looking at a flat screen. Actually, I do have a curved monitor. Not that that matters for the purpose of depth perception, but yeah. It's the same problem regardless. I don't know why I felt the need to say like, oh, actually my monitor is curved. It doesn't. It did nothing. It served no purpose other than to be the actually. I was the actually guy for a minute there. Okay, let's go ahead and fill that out just like that. And we can fill all the smaller spaces with other stones. And don't worry about how sort of repetitive this this looks. I think if we are clever about it, we can help it feel less repetitive by rotating our add a human skull to the dino bones. Oh, dude. Cooking with gas over here. He-Man! I died in a horrible mining accident! I've got a bone to pick with you, He-Man! It was the precursor. Alright, let's see here. Rocks. Let's go back to rocks. Stone. Here we go. Beautiful. All right, these nice round flat disc rocks. They are quite nice. And I realized I got a little sidetracked. I was over here working on this room, but then the idea of bones came up, and I mean, I was immediately a fan. So, but yeah, after I fill this section, I'll jump back to this room. And as you can see, my workflow does not conform to any particular room order. Just whenever the ideas hit me or are provided to me, whatever the situation happens to be, that is how I build my dungeons. Sometimes it's not so good, because being so easily distracted by side tangents over and over again can lead to things feeling a bit messy. And there is one map in particular that I made where that was very much the case, where it feels like 4 different maps in one. It doesn't help that I built that map sort of in one sitting, because I have a burning desire to finish things in a single sitting, and one of the great developments of my life is learning to take multiple days, if not weeks, on projects, because you can't just crunch everything all the time. It's not a healthy or fun way to do things. It's how you get burnout. Let me go ahead and squish this, actually. Beautiful. Look at you, Mr. Rich Gamer, with the curved monitor. I can talk to you with the game more on Discord after the stream. Sure, yeah, that'd be dope. No, by all means, the chat is for everyone. Your message doesn't go anywhere. Everybody else's message doesn't go anywhere. I'd say that the more the merrier. Okay, so let me adjust these boulders just a touch. Actually, we could flip those around. There, that looks nicer. Alrighty. And we'll go ahead, copy this over. We'll give it a stretch like this and this. Is it cool if I download this VOD afterwards? Yeah, of course. Of course. Help yourself, man. Not a problem at all. Alrighty. Stretch that. Cap that corner with a piece here. Cap that corner like so. And over here, just a small boulder and one there. Why not? And just sprinkle a couple in there for good measure. Just pepper it on. Pepper it on. Pepper. All right. Yeah, that looks like it'll do. Oh, wait, hold on. Rock, 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 rock. Stone, rock, and boulder. Cool. That'll do. Let's get back to this room. Right now the topic is Game Master Engine, or more specifically, the map you're currently creating. So yeah, I mean, and that's fine. I don't mind tangents. As you can clearly tell, I've gone on like a bazillion tangents since I started the stream. Whoops, didn't mean to stretch that way. Wall's got to be long, not thick. Beautiful. Okay, grab it and slide it over here. A little bit like that. Wonderful. Ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Let's grab this wall, and we'll pull it down here. Actually, this shouldn't be a problem, because what we could do is just copy and paste this wall, slide it over. And we can actually grab, whoops. There we go. Let's do a 3 long and double it up so that we have a proportionate length of wall to work with here. Okay, so we could do the same thing here. And I think what I will do, that actually, that corner turned out really well. I like it when things accidentally work in my favor. That is always a really, really, really good feeling. Let's go ahead and oh yeah, dude, same. That's why I fell in love with this game so hard. Um, it's just so atmospheric. But yeah, I've spent a little bit of time on, or a little bit too much time on the tops here, and I've uh, put a bit of a stink on my workflow here, but that's fine. Um, what we can do over here, I'm gonna try to stretch that, see how that looks. That's not bad. I was expecting that to look a little worse, but that actually looks quite nice. I bet if I start stretching that beyond this point, that's when things are gonna start looking a little janky. And we'll try to avoid that as best we can. Now, here is uh, an idea. So I'm going to take these sections of wall and put them right here. And we'll have this little section sticking out on the side here. But that's fine. I'm not too worried about that. We can actually quite easily dress up the corners kind of like this. Let's see here. It's kind of round, very rotund for our purposes, but that actually does work quite nicely. And then we'll take it and stretch it up, just like that. And that will help sort of fill out this section here. And we can keep to the theme of, you know, the stone, sand, and bones going on up here. Do you remember Cake Man? He was taking college course in game development with Unity, and for his finals, he had to create a basic game with a few requirements, and me help him out with it. One of my favorite parts of working on that was just placing things down in the scene and building a small town area. Dude, yeah, this will be right up your alley. Another thing that's worth mentioning is that this game is compatible with custom models. You can import your own miniatures, and I believe with a little bit of creativity, um, you can import some props as well. Um, although that aspect of this game is a little bit beyond me. I've not spent a lot of time with that part of things. That would be something to ask on the Discord. As there's a ton of tutorials that cover some of the more advanced parts of this game. One of those is the ability to import your own models for miniatures and props as well. Okay, let's see here. Hum, 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 hum. We're looking pretty good so far. I think what we will do is I'm going to continue to cap things off here. So let's grab these stones again. Let's get a good size here. And stretch it out, slide it over. Wonderful. And we could just actually repeat that process because this fits so well. Unless it's right here, in which case it doesn't fit so well. But that's fine because we could squish it. There, done. Fixed. And over and over. Give it a flip so that it's not so obviously copy pasted. And actually, what we could do here is flip this 180 degrees. There we go. So it looks varied and not just straight copy pasted. And we could probably do the same over here as well. Just give it a quick flip. When I mess with Unity, some of my favorite things to do is just mess around with asset packs, put together small scenes, messing with shaders. Messing with shaders is always a fun time. Oh, dude. Yeah, I wouldn't even know the first thing about that, but if it's as simple as just adjusting some sliders, then yeah, my monkey brain loves adjusting sliders. Show them the different settings with the weather. Oh, dude, yeah, absolutely. Let's go ahead and bust that out. So this game has a extensive uh, amount of settings for atmosphere. Of course, you have your night and day settings. That skybox though, always appreciate your skybox. All right, your skybox maker in all your favorite games needs a little love. Stop every once in a while, look up, enjoy the stars. um, but yeah, you can adjust the night and day cycle. The cool part, in my opinion, is that you can adjust the radius of celestial bodies. So if you wanted to have something, akin to a Majora's Mask event, dawn of the nth day, you can have moon. You can have a giant moon, uh, and the same is true for the sun as well. Whoa! Tiny little sun. He's tiny. He's just a little guy. It's just a little guy over there in the distance. Just a little guy. But anyways, from there, let's also show you moon phases. Yeah, check that out. That's delightful. Star intensity, you can have low star intensity, high star intensity. I like me some stars. Let's see, lots of skyboxes these days are actually partially or even fully procedural. Well, the games I played, actually back in my day, I do remember seeing quite a few skyboxes in games that I've played in my youth that I couldn't help but stop and look up and just admire the amount of effort that went into all that. But yeah, you can adjust brightness, which is good for controlling the ambient light of interior spaces, like what we're doing here. Saturation, which controls the the saturation of your skybox. Contrast, I don't believe works. Sky tint, I think does. No, I am unable to futz with that. So that is something I will have to talk to Mark about and square that away. Let's see here. We also have what is my favorite part, the weather settings. You can have clear skies, partly cloudy, and of course the clouds here look just absolutely gorgeous. A huge fan. And you can of course have this be a various of various intensities. Complete overcast. You have fog, which it's fog. You can adjust the cloud tint, which I don't know if that matters for fog or not. But let's go back to cloudy real quick, and we'll switch this back to day so that you can see what the cloud tint does. But yeah, as you can see now, we have like this beautiful seafoam green cloud situation going on here, which honestly I kind of like. I kind of like that a lot. Let's see here. You can adjust cloud speed so that it's just whizzing by you. Cloud height, which allows you to do cool things like this. And now it's a sandstorm. A green-blue sandstorm. You can adjust the cloud tint to make it more sandy in appearance. Bleach it just a touch, and boom, there you go. Now you got a sandstorm. Look at that. Ain't that cool? That's rad. You also have, let me go ahead and actually set this lower and set that back up. And the tint set back to white. There's also weather. You got your classic rain, and then thunderstorm, which is rain, but with thunder and lightning. Oh, yeah, look at that. Beautiful. Snow. More snow. And blizzard. Sound effects come included. So yeah, there's so much that you could do with that. There's also like filters that you could play with here. The one that I think I'm going with for this one is Jade with a not flare. Did I? I don't think I had a art style on. But background, you can see how a near blur would be really nice to have for a dungeon such as this. Filters, thank you. But yeah, so let me adjust this to like the general time of day that I kind of wanted this to be with the fog. And this is generally the vibe that I would be going with for this dungeon. As you can see, the atmospheric settings really help elevate the appearance of your board by orders of magnitude. It's nuts how much heavy lifting these filters do for these boards. Try the old map one. Yeah. Let's see here. Brain fart. There we go. Okay. Art style. Parchment. It's a little difficult to see what's going on, if I'm being honest. But if there's ever a situation where parchment works for your situation, then yeah, oil painting does actually look quite nice here. Old movie, got a film grain effect. One of my favorite filters are the low res filters, because that just looks like an old point and click. Just delightful. Let's see here. 16-bit. You got 24-bit if you don't want it to be, so overwhelming. Glitch. For all of those times where you enter the Matrix. Neon, which is totally my vibe. Oh man. Look at that. Now this is a dance floor. The Matrix, also really cool. And you can see how that plays with miniatures, how it plays with actual edge detection. It's delightful. And then flare, which has its place in some settings, but in a dark underground setting for me, well, I don't know. I mean, it depends. It depends. Like this could absolutely be like this would be phenomenal in like an ice cavern with like weird lighting. Think like the ice dungeons in Ocarina of Time or something. Or I don't know. Enter ice dungeon here. Okay. Real quick, before we go any further, I'm going to use the restroom real quick. I'm going to put on some music for you guys. It won't take me very long, but I will be right back. Okay, and we're back. Thank you for your patience. All right. So, go ahead and pick up where we left off. I believe I was over here. To go ahead and take off the filter effects and turn daylight back on. As awesome as those filters are and different effects, as awesome as all that stuff is for the finished product, it's nice to be able to have a clear view of all the stuff that you're working with here. Let's see here. I think what I want to do next is let's fill out this room, because this is going to be like the first major encounter of the dungeon. Dig site requires tools. It requires lighting. It requires sort of a loading, unloading zone. Kind of crazy to see how far we've come, especially considering that consumer hardware didn't really have shaders before 2009. It's not custom programmable shaders. Oh yeah. I mean, look at Minecraft, for instance. Like shaders, like elevate that that game to a whole new level. Now that I've tried shaders, I really can't go back. Let's see here what we got for tools. I do not have tools, not by name anyway. Pickaxe. Yes. Okay, beautiful. Let's use this one. Now, I think I'm going to include some burial grounds here as well. Let's go ahead and tilt this up against the wall, just like that. Wonderful. Okay, shovel. You can't have a dig site without a shovel. Tilt it up against the wall like so. Nice. Okay. We can also do a cart. Mine cart. And we can have a couple of these here, actually. So let's put 1, 2. Just like that. I can go back because I'm too lazy to download mods. Really like the way the developer of Optifine conducts himself, so I choose not to support it. I see. I've not heard of any sort of stink about the Optifine developer. That's something that has to this point gone unnoticed by me. Let's see here. Let's get some ore. No. Iron. No. Coal. Okay. There we go. That's something. So we can have a nondescript pile of supplies over here. Let's also get some crates. Whoop, crate. Let's see here. The old Jim Horson's extra dynamite. Classic. Gotta have it. It's always somewhere in all of my builds. Anywhere that has a crate, anyway. Alrighty, and speaking of which, when in doubt, crates everywhere. Always crates all the time. It's great for cover. It's great for an interactive environment. And it really goes that extra way. It really does a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to making your dungeon feel lived in. let's see here. Boop, and boop, and then stack another one on top, just like that. Form a new project in Neo Forge because Lex was so bad. Ah, jeez. Man, well, you know, good things can't last. Especially when it comes to large projects like that. I'm sure that, you know, the grounds that they all came together on were kind of sketchy to begin with. But, you know, it's not a common occurrence for people to work well together for long periods of time. And that's okay. You know, people are different. And it's not always going to be, you know, a match made in heaven. Like, I mean, I struggled to think of an example, but the closest thing I could think of is maybe Bungie, back in, like, you know, the early 2000s. That's the closest I can think of as an example of a game company that just had great synergy within itself. But of course, you know, that didn't even make it for too terribly long, obviously. Let's see. What else could we use in the dig site here? I needed some coffins. Coffin. Let's try coffin. Singular. Here we go. Or is this, that's a wood. Make it out of stone. Okay, here we go. Beautiful. So we can place these down. Or do we want them up against the wall? That actually might look a bit cooler. Yeah, let's go with that. Okay, so let's grab this and 90 degrees. Lovely. Whoa. Oh, this is a container. Interesting. Okay, so that I didn't realize that these were containers. So if you right-click a container, it brings up a menu which you can add stuff into. Stuff, things, and trinkets. And then that's just in here now, which is great for when you want to have your players sort of explore a room, or maybe, you know, you have this map set up to where they can, like, I don't know, do some shopping or something. You know, the possibilities are vast when it comes to what you could do with that. Let's go ahead and flip this over 180 degrees, just like that. And we can paint a different texture on there. And I think what we will go with, what texture do you have? You have the dirt texture. Let's go ahead and grab this one and paint it on here. I think maybe a different texture on that. Let's try... Let's go out on a limb here. Let's try this. No. That is not going to work. Maybe we use just this. Okay, it's all the same texture. Hum. Maybe if I grab from... Let me try stone. Whoops. Oops. Oh, jeez. Oh, no. I'm making mistakes. That's okay. Let's try this again. Paint that back. There we go. Okay. And then come down here. Boom. All right. Yeah, that's a good look. I like that a lot. So now we could take this. Only interacted with him once in experience. It was the usual amount of asshole you find in programmers. Yeah, I only know 2 programmers. One of them is kind of a jerk, but, you know, he's likable enough. Let's see. Is the sort of behavior automated or screen share, one-man show sort of deal? I'm not sure. I am not sure. Okay, so we have a line of sarcophagi, And we can probably make this a little bit more appealing to look at if we give it like a little bit of depth by copying itself up to the front, and then we just slide it down the line, just like that. And my first instinct when I'm looking at this is, now that I know that these are containers, I can put the names of, you know, the people buried in these sarcophagi. The question was for the items in the box. Oh, I see. It is. It depends. You can toggle it to be something that only you can see. Yeah. This sort of behavior on is like screen share. When you were describing the shop and exploration stuff, you'll have to remind me. I'm sorry. I have my head is now in the current space, and I do not recall the context of what I was talking about a minute ago. Let's see here. This room, I'm not sure what to do with. But I think... Ooh, you know what? This could be like a golem, or a room for a golem, or something similar. I'm thinking maybe like mud golem or something? Something desert or pharaoh or like tomb guardian sort of situation. Let me look at the statues. See what we got here. Interesting. What else do we have? It's a little, you know, medieval for what we're going for here. I wish there was like a, Ooh, okay, actually, this could work. Again, not precisely the theme we're going for, but that's fine. It's not always going to be exactly the way you want it to be. So what we will do is, same as before, we'll paint it so that it fits the theme. And now we have ourselves a sand golem. And now that actually we've painted it to look like the surrounding area, this could pass as a sort of tomb guardian, one that would animate. Deal either. Semantic situation on this game. Do functionally mods? Is it just maps and props? It's just maps and props at the moment. I think there was there might have been at one point talk about workshop integration, but I wouldn't have any clue on where that stands as of this moment. That is a question for the Discord. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and figure out the rest of this room. Let me go ahead and stretch that. Because we don't want it to be just completely open right here. I'm thinking maybe we could have like a section of the room that's collapsed. And it forms a sort of barrier that then the players and monsters have to work around. And I'm thinking, let's see here. If I imagine for a moment a ranged attacker from over here, let's say they could get a straightaway shot to the back wall here, but everything over here would be covered. So, not to mention that would hide the approach of the golem here, where it could effectively sneak up, air quotes, I'm throwing up air quotes right now, sneak up on the party from the left-hand side here, if they fail to make any sort of perception check. Because this thing is big, it's loud, it's going to be telegraphing its presence. But they won't be able to see it until it rounds the corner and it's right there. Which is the idea if the party decides to just stay up here and get into a fight with whatever chaff enemies happen to be up and around here. So, let me grab some rocks. Good old rock, never let me down. There we go. Alrighty, so we'll go ahead and place this down here. Let me stretch it to sort of fit the dimensions that I want it to. Let's go ahead and move you up here. And just a little bit more of a stretch, and then up. Bring that down. Okay, and now that we have sort of like the general shape of the obstacle defined here, let's go ahead and pepper some boulders down and around the area. Well, before we do that, actually, let me grab this, and I'm going to utilize that same trick as before, where we grab the soil, snow, whatever it happens to be, and stretch it over an area to sort of give a loose earth. Excuse me. Jeez. I gotta take another sip of water. All right. Very good. So, let's see here. I could try to do something. I'm not sure if this would work, but let's give it a shot. I'm gonna see what happens here. Waterfall. I've never played D&D or a D&D-like game. Is the usual flow of maps? Is it like a linear start-to-finish situation? Or is it more like an actual place you'd expect to go to? With sections that loop back and stuff like that. So it depends on what your play style is. I personally like to keep things more on the video gamey side of things, because I've played realistic games before, and those tend to involve knowledge that I just don't have. Ooh, okay. That's actually really good. I was not expecting that to work as well as it did, but it worked. So now... But yeah, D&D is, in short, a collaborative storytelling. Collaborative storytelling experience. That was the word that I was looking for here. And it depends on kind of who is running the game for you. Some people like to have more realistic linear experiences. Some people like to, have a bazillion randomizers, and that's all fine. Me personally, I prefer to have a sort of semi-linear arcadey sort of feel. There are elements that I enjoy, being hands-off on. Exploration is always something that I enjoy having hands-off on. Roleplay is always, obviously hands-off, because you can't dictate what your players do, what they say, who they interact with, yada yada. Basically video games, but a human runs the show instead. Yeah, essentially. I think that would be a really, really simple layman's way of putting it. All these years of playing D&D, and I've not yet come up with a an easy way to explain it, other than it's a game with pen and paper that you play with your friends or total strangers to tell a story that may or may not involve dragons. So it might be called Dungeons and Dragons, but dungeons are not always guaranteed, nor are the dragons. In fact, dragons are quite rare. More often than not, I'm sure somebody has a setting out there that is the exception to that rule. Let's see here. Okay, let me go ahead and actually size this boulder up and stretch it. Beautiful. Okay, so now from here, what I want to do is try to sculpt these rocks so that they are sort of fanning out to sort of form a almost an hourglass shape relative to the bottom here, which is probably going to be one of the more complicated parts of this this dungeon, at least as far as like construction goes. But that's okay. Having at least one complicated centerpiece for people to look at, I think, is a good thing. So let's go ahead and start with that. Stretch that out, raise that up. I think I'm going to take some of this, put it over here, and now we can start sort of flaring it up and out a little bit. So let's grab some of these flatter rocks. Let's go to here. And as we copy and paste, we can rotate it a little bit each time we copy a new instance so that it forms a sort of fanned out shape. And don't worry about gaps, because we can go back and fill those in after the fact. In fact, it is best if you just do a rough pass of stuff like this first, and then you go in and fill the gaps in later. There we go. And more rotation. Whoops. 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 There we go. Delightful. Okay. So now, let me see about adding some extra props to this centerpiece here to make it look more believable. So let's mine some supports that were built by the raiders might be warranted here. So let's go ahead and put a couple of these in place. So down like this. We can have this set up like so. I'm going to stretch this a little bit more so that it doesn't crowd the path here so much. There we go. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and put in a lamp in the corner over here. This one, turn that intensity down just a touch, but up the size to like 50%. Rock flower? Rock flower. You know it. You caught the vibe. Let's see here. What other doodads can we add here? Ooh, okay. Classic trap or otherwise interactable piece. Explosive barrels. I don't care how cliche it is. Everybody loves an explosive barrel or two. Me, personally, I love to scatter things that go boom in pretty much all of my maps, one way or the other. Something that would be great for this room in particular will probably be ways to light the explosive barrels from afar. So I'm thinking what they could do is interact with maybe these bits of charcoal or something. They could light that and chuck them at the very flammable, explosive colored barrels. Why is that in the floor? There we go. I guess the point of collision is a little bit lower than, or I'm sorry, higher than the base of the barrel in question. Which is fine. Easy thing to correct. Would this look better if I stretched it up like this? I think it would. I think that looks very nice. So we will do that over here as well. And over here. Delightful. Okay. Now, I think the next thing is, you know I love me a good bomb. If for no other reason, I think I will put this here as sort of a Chekhov's gun. The idea would be that once the party beats the boss, right? The boss with its last breath, like, I don't know, pulls a switch or something, and that starts the countdown to this bomb, which then threatens to collapse the entire dungeon on the party unless they get out. So, you know, adds a little urgency. It's a fun little climax at the end of the entire situation. I saw this while I was futzing about. I wanted to fix that. There we go. Okay. So, paper designer speaking from experience, that's an easy mistake to make, especially in most cases. You usually want the paper to be centered for rational purposes. Oh, yeah. Rotational, not I guess rational, but also rotational. Let's see here. The next thing, I mean, I think I've got this room pretty well filled out. I will take these sarcophagi and move them to the other side of the room, though. Okay, so let's suppose... Okay, yeah, so if you just copy-paste these one at a time, it's less of a problem when you're moving them around. So one of the quirks that this engine has is when you're trying to copy-paste stuff like repainted textures. If you're doing it more than one at a time, it tends to bug out and revert back to its normal or its initial texture. Okay, so the next room over here, I'm thinking not main burial room. I'm thinking more like some sort of shrine or whatever, an offering, a room with offerings in it. So an altar. Let's go back to statues for a minute. Do they now have a grouping function? There is a grouping function. However, the issue still persists with altered values like different textures or lighting values. If you're trying to copy paste like groups like that, that's when things start getting a little futzy. Statue. Okay, wonderful. Ooh, okay. So this would be an interesting shrine to have. So let me come back here. Stick that in the wall. You know, okay, so a neat trick, and I just want to show you this. If you ever wanted to make something like sort of like a carving in the wall, you can accomplish that by squishing statues like way down, like down to the point where they're basically two-dimensional, like that. And I love this effect because it's still kind of got like depth to it, but not really. And then from there, you can put it up against your wall. and you effectively have like a carving, which I think I might decide to do that with this particular setup here. Make that a bit smaller. There we go. And copy, paste, and we'll just move that off to the side. And now, our faithful fallback, painting textures. Oh, actually, you know what? I should probably paint the or color pick the rock texture, and then come over here and ooh, okay, okay. So this is what I'm talking about. So you see how now that I've squished it all the way down, it's a little funky looking now. I think I can revert. Let me see here. Then revert. Uh-oh, okay. Oh, there it went. Okay, very good. So, I think for the moment, those vertex texture normals are doing a lot. Oh yeah, they are. Absolutely. Like it's very trippy. I've used this technique in one of my other maps. It's like a what you call it? It's like a cathedral situation, and I put a bunch of the like the knight statues in the wall just like that. It had a really, really cool effect. Interesting. So here's what I'm thinking, right? Petrified something. Leaving a small hint that maybe there's some petrification effects later on in the dungeon. Let's also consider maybe... Okay, this is, like, vague enough that it's pretty much whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to go with this. But I'm also going to paint them to be of a similar rocky texture. There we go. Wonderful. And as a thought... What if I did something like this? That's kind of cool, right? I kind of like that. It's something different. So yeah, I'm going to stick with that. I am sticking with that. That's the normals aren't being affected by the scale, so the original depth of the object provided. The end dottle lighting is still present. You know what? I'm gonna recommend that you get into touch with the devs. They could absolutely use somebody with a little bit of coding experience. I'm not making any guarantees for you, but get into touch with Mark and see if there's anything that that he could have you, I don't know, brainstorm at the very least. I really think you two should talk. I see nothing but good things happening as a result of that. Let's see here. So, we wanted a shrine. So let's get gold. A key. Everybody loves a mysterious key. And I think I'm going to put this key in the hand of this thing. And naturally... there's going to be a trap here. And it's going to be telegraphed by a shriveled up husk of a grave robber directly in front here. You know, so everything else in the room, though, will be ransacked. So let me face. Get some of these. Just, that's like a actual, like, plant pot. Pot for plants. Boop, boop, and beep. And let's go ahead and put, like, One here, and one here. And one right here. Normal dot light, if you take the dot product of the normal vector and the directional light sun vector, if you clamp the result between 0 and 1, the result is pretty decent approximation of how that sunlight affects the surface of the object. Wow. Yeah, we are effectively getting into the technical side of things that I would never be able to grapple with this stuff to the same depth that I do like more abstract artistic concepts. I just don't have the attention span for it. So it always impresses me when you whip out these very detailed explanations about gosh, just gonna start throwing some terms out there: normal maps, vectors, point lights, yada yada. I mean, I'm very easy to impress. Very easy to impress. Let's see here. Ooh, a bowl. Everybody loves a good bowl. Let me get down here again. Okay. And we can put it just like that. Tilt it a little bit forward. There we go. All right. Coin. Do we have just a single coin? Yes. Okay, beautiful. So, wonderful. Okay, so now I'll have to think of a contrivance about this offering altar. But my thinking is that when you try to just take the key or the gold, you just are subject to I don't know, being shriveled up like a mummy. You're a husk. But if you offer something and then take the key, you will be spared, or something like that. That's kind of the contrivance that I'm going with. Oh, let's get some pillars in here, huh? Got to get some pillar action. I can't believe I forgot about the cornerstone of rooms. Pillars. Okay, let's see here. Grab that, slide that over here. And we can slide this over here in the corner. Not all the way in the corner, though. Just like that. Wonderful. Okay, bring this over here. Nice. Okay. And you can see how that already like does a great job at creating a little depth on the walls, so that it's not so flat and samey the entire way through. Right. Let's go ahead and add more pillar action here. I think I will put this one a bit closer in the corner. Maybe not. I can move the boxes. I can move the crates. The crates can get moved a little bit. It's easier to move the crates than it is to move the wall, obviously. Let's see here. Move this down and into the next corner. Just like that. Wonderful. Okay. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I think I'm going to add these pillars into this room. Perfect. And then just copy paste, slide these down, and slap them in the corners there. Okay, so that's coming along really nicely. I mean, you can almost just call it good right here, because you have a 3-part dungeon already right now. You have your initial encounter, your hook, which includes an opportunity for roleplay. It includes a varied combat encounter with lots of environmental hazards, or in the possible case, or in the ideal case, toys to play with. Those juicy watch hours, but I won't be actively watching or responding. All right, man. Hey, I appreciate you lurking, though. That's always nice. You have yourself a wonderful night. In case the stream's over before you poke your head back in. But yeah, the first area contains those elements right away. A little bit of exploration, roleplay, combat that involves interesting ways to interact with the environment. And then from there, things get a little bit more complicated in here, where you have the same sort of like opportunities of combat, roleplay, exploration, problem solving. But then there's also the added element of like, a third party. The Tomb Guardian will awaken, which then throws a monkey wrench into things. It becomes less of a slugfest and more of a get away from the golem contest. So I really am a fan of that idea, and I can't wait to give that a go. And then in here, I think we'll go ahead and that is what we'll do. For the sake of time constraints, that is what we'll do. As much as I love the idea of having like lower levels down here, we can always cover that aspect on one of the next workshops. So for now, what I'm going to do is maybe just have a little alcove be right here that that just offers a little extra cover, or just an interesting spatial interaction that the players can have with the environment. Let's see here. Let me go over here and grab some of these so that they can go over here. Yeah, that works quite well. And slide that over here. Let's center everything a little bit better. Wonderful. Okay. From here, let me go ahead and copy this again. And we'll put this in the back here. Just like this. And once again, this will be just a an alcove that the players can use to take cover, or maybe we can come up with a more interesting reason for it being here. Let's see, just like that, and then copy paste it again up against the wall. Let's scoot everything back a little bit further. And a little bit further. Whoops. That's okay. We can work with that. And then just copy paste and add the next wall layer. Just like that. Whoops. I had everything down here a little bit too low, I think. Go ahead and whoops. Go ahead and lift everything up. Wonderful. Look at that. There we go. Okay, so now we've got just a little alcove, which could serve any purpose. It could be nothing at all. It could be a little extra something. Maybe there's, I don't know, maybe a magic item is in there. Who knows? The world is your oyster when it comes to these things. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that we can probably take our template and give it a different texture, which I think is what we're going to do. So let's do that real quick. Let's go to materials, and let's start with like this, because maybe having some dark gray contrasting texture underneath everything will look really nice. So let's give it a go. I'm not sure if I'm a fan of that. So let's try something a little less gray. Let's try that, perhaps. And apply. Okay, that's doing something for me. Let's see. What else can we do? Maybe we could just do like dirt. Dirt might be the answer? Oh, hold on. Soil. Soil. There was a... Yes, this. Let me try this. Let me try this texture. And boom. Okay, so that... I think that might be what we're looking for. Because it does the job of adding a little bit of contrast underneath the tiles, but it's not so dark that it's black or, like, overwhelming. So I think I'll stick with that. Let's see here. Oh yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of this. That's a good look. Okay, so now let's focus on the main burial chamber, which I've already kind of discussed a sort of a cursory sort of encounter philosophy, which is there's bound to be one guy at the back here. And when the party enters, I'm thinking in terms of how many moves are they going to need to make. Depending on how much of their movement is left when they enter, even if we consider for a moment, let's just actually roll that back. Let's consider the second they round the corner, that's when the, quote, encounter begins, which will probably start with, like, some, monologue, if you will. But we have enough space that a dash could close the gap, but it leaves you vulnerable to attack on your turn. But you can apply pressure to a caster, which is ideally what I have in mind for this particular encounter. There will be 2 beefy guys, 1 caster, and perhaps the caster can have, like, a summon for some sort of, like, chaff or fast-moving ally that could help harrow the guys in the back line, whereas the beefy guys are just there to slow down everybody else. So I'm thinking maybe 2 golems and 1 caster, and the caster can maybe have a summon. So let me pull the statue from before over here, and this is good because you can introduce the golem enemy type ahead of time to sort of get the players familiar with what its capabilities are. So that way you're not dropping this all on them all at once. They have a chance to sort of learn what that enemy type's capabilities are. And you can also reflect that with some of the other enemies in the dungeon. For the final boss, maybe, like, the final boss is a combination of, like, the rogue type enemy, the beefy enemy, and he's a caster on top of that. Where he's effectively, like, a group of 4 or 5 guys by himself. The obvious disadvantage to that is that the action economy in at least 5th edition is punishing. So you want to sort of offset that by giving either a few hefty allies for him to help, and the idea would be these guys would go and obstruct the path here from anybody else getting past them. If somebody else manages to get a higher initiative and slip in here, then yeah, that's the pressure that would help tip the scales of this encounter. Plus, the ceilings are high. There's always grounds for, like, a well-placed grappling hook, a fly spell, climbing the walls, monkey bars on the ceiling, swinging from a loose root in the ceiling, whatever the case happens to be. But let's focus on the actual build here. Altar. And as it so happens, we have a fancy altar right here. Now that's an altar. Look at that. That is delightful. Yeah, I could get behind that. And it fits the theme really, really well. Okay, we can include a small, like a small shrine over here on the side. let me think about this. Perhaps we can include like some other burial urns over here on the sides. Yeah, we'll go with that. That strikes me as nice. And well, but we can just have it be these. We gotta remember that this is the boss room, so we want it to look boss roomy. We want this room to be very bossy. We'll go ahead and put one right there and one right over here. So now we've got some pseudo symmetry going on with a little bit of alterations from side to side. We can also include this side over here to have some sort of like weird set piece. Let's include it like so. And this over here, if we wanted it to be symmetrical, we could do this, but I think what I'll do instead is lean into the rubble side of things and maybe just have this corner like spill rubble out into the middle of the room, adding some difficult terrain to the mix. I think that's what I'll do. So let me look up columns. But before I forget, let me run in here with a simple shape. Grab a rock texture, paint it to this. Nice. Look at that. That is looking good. All right, let's move this to the side. Let's see here. Go back up top. Column. I don't know how to spell column. Silly me. Okay, that's fine, because Antiquity, I believe, has the columns that I'm looking for anyway. I think... Okay, it's not quite the match that I'm looking for. Let me look at... What was it? Exterior, I think is what it was, that had the... Yes, here we go. Okay. This is what we're looking for, I think. So, to kind of help sell this whole thing that I'm about to do, I am going to sort of Frankenstein this prop to look more like its surroundings. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and give it a stretch. There we go. That's looking pretty good. So, we'll go ahead and put it over on the side, and then copy-paste the whole assembly, slide it to the back. And now the theme of this set piece is a little bit different than what it was before. If you really wanted to, what we could do to help like keep this boss room kind of a secret is, we could actually put like a roof over it. So when time comes to actually do the boss fight, all you do is just slide it to the side, and there you go. It's right there. So I like that idea. So I'm gonna keep that in mind going forward here. But let me go ahead and set some ruined columns down. Give it a bit of a tilt. And it's sunken into the ground, just like that. Copy, paste. Give it a twist. Copy, paste. Twist. And copy, paste one more time. And we'll leave that one as is. We have some blocky rubble here that we can throw into the mix. This will be our difficult terrain. Just like that. And we could scatter that all throughout the room. And to help really sell the boss room energy going on here, gotta have a fancy door. Gotta have that fancy door energy. So I think how we will accomplish that is like so. And then we will add some accents. I think, yeah, I'll put it like this. Nice. Okay. And then, let me go ahead and put this over here. Whoopsie daisy. Okay. Sink it down and give it another tilt. Sink it down some more. Really want to sell that this set piece over here collapsed at some point. So let's add some more rubble. Half buried. Now, some big, some small pieces. All right. And just like that. Wonderful. Okay. And now let's add a little bit of loose earth to the situation here. And scoot it all out over here. Don't be afraid to stretch that all out, because remember, this is going to like spill out across the room, giving us that that difficult terrain situation. And there's that. Beautiful. And there and there. Delightful. Okay, so now we've got a centerpiece. We have varied terrain. We have a choke point. We have a determined or a predetermined strategy that the boss is going to use from this room. And of course, we have all the buildup. And it just so happens that this room has all the bones and stuff above it, which is very thematic. There's a lot of finality to it. It's very boss room energy. I know I've said that like 3 or 4 times, but just can't get over it. All right. Let's see here. Let me go ahead and slide this over. And let's go ahead and stretch this out like so. Delightful. Okay, so now the boss room has been covered, which you just remove whenever you feel like it. And of course, there is always the option to add vaulted ceilings as you see fit. And I'm going to go ahead and call this map done, actually. So let's go ahead and just clean up the outside here, because we got a few odds and ends just kind of lying around that we don't really need here. Alrighty. Let's see here. Oh, okay, silly me. The entry needs a little bit of attention. So let's do that. Let's see here. Let's go back to our good, reliable friend, Rock. And let's go ahead and just create like almost like a cave-like space where the party can start this dungeon from. Oop, that's clipping through a little bit. Not a problem. Easy fix. Easy peasy. Alrighty. Add some boulders. Because you can never truly have too many boulders. There we go. And I think that's a pretty good space for... let's see here. Let me go ahead and... Yeah, that could fit a full party and then some. You know, whatever the circumstance happens to be. Let's see here. Gotta remember how to select the minis. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and add the atmosphere that I've been on about so much here. Whoa. That's cool. Let's switch that back, though. Okay, so nighttime, 100%. Which reminds me, I need to include a few more light sources. It's good to run your map through day and night cycles for exactly this reason. You don't want to forget to add much needed atmosphere. So, torch. Let's see here. I have a torch on a stick right in here. Low intensity, because you want to maintain the vibe. This room, I think I'm going to avoid putting a torch. Because the idea is that there are flammable barrels in here, and the closest torch is probably going to be here on the fountain. Otherwise, it'll be in this room. So, if the party has, like, lit torches handy, then, you know, that's one thing. Or, you know, fire spells or whatever the case happens to be. I think we will put something over here. Perhaps... You know what? This little piece right here would be nice to have over here. So I will stick that over there. I'm also going to go ahead and add some torches in the hall. Not too many, though. I have to remember that this is all going to be very limited infrastructure on account of it being robbed. Let's see here. Lower that. So yeah, sparse lighting. Perhaps I'll have something here next to the obvious trap. Well, maybe not obvious trap. We'll have to see. Let's lower that down. All right. Beautiful. I think that does the trick. I never did get an opportunity to use these stones, but I'm okay with that. That is something that we will always have an opportunity for at a later time. So let me go ahead and cap this whole situation off. We want it to be foggy. We want the brightness to be low-ish. Saturation high. Sky tint is fine. We want the coloration to be jade. The art style we'll leave as is. The background will have near blur. So now, our dungeon is ready to play. Let me go ahead and just take a little bit of a walk through here. Walk, quote unquote. Looking good. This place has a certain feel to it as well. and then, of course, boss room. And boy, howdy, this feels like a boss room. I gotta say, I'm very pleased with the results of today's workshop. I could not have asked for a better outcome here. Oh, you know what? There should be like at least one light source in here. I realized that I had my Game Master spotlight on, and that was making it seem lighter in here than it actually was. So one more torch. Whoops, torch. There we go. Alrighty. And we'll stick this over here. Being a place where the players would have to work to get access to it. Whereas the boss in here, maybe one nasty trick they have is they have dark vision. And they are very easily able to douse the lights from their position. Just a thought. I don't include like encounter setups with these maps because I love the idea of people just picking these up and adapting them to whatever they see fit. So, as it stands, this is our finished product, and it took us about 3 hours, 30 minutes ish, give or take. So let me go ahead and save. Let's see, save as workshop 1. And alrighty, so the first thing I'm going to do is going to take that file and I'm immediately going to upload it to the Discord so that all of you guys can, in the immediately after this stream is over, you can take a look at it, play around with it, really soak in the process of all that we kind of did here. Hopefully, it helps your creative tendencies come out. Let's see here. I need to open my saves folders. Okay, so let's immediately go to, I think it's, yeah, workshop 1. And then we need to compress it into a zip. And you know what? I didn't take any screenshots. I'm going to have to take a couple screenshots before I upload this. So yeah, pardon me while I hop back in there. Let's see, campaigns. Select campaign, workshop, and workshop 1. It is a delightful way to stay organized. Utilize that feature. It keeps you from scrolling through a just a massive list of save files. Oh geez. Okay. It seems that the floor reverted back to the template that I had on here before, which is fine. It's not a big deal. We can just set it back. Let's see here. Simple shape. Let me make sure that nothing else had any issues. Okay, it looks like this had a small issue upon reloading, but not a big deal. Once again, it's just a mismatch, mismatched texture situation, which happens from time to time with Game Master Engine. Fortunately, nothing here seems to have suffered any catastrophic, like there's nothing broke, fortunately. Just some texture issues, which is easily fixable. Let me take some screenshots so that you guys can immediately check this out on the Discord. Let's see here. Here we go. Workshop 1. Export. All right. Do it again. Oh, does it overwrite the... Aha! It sure does. Okay, yeah. Let me go ahead. Nice. Okay. Then workshop 3. Uh-oh. We had a waterfall texture kind of break there. Yeah, I think just to avoid that being an issue, I'm just going to remove that. And then, lastly, the boss room. Okay, there we go. Now that's all taken care of. I'll have to have a word with Mark about some of those textures reverting back to their original state. It seems to be a very persistent issue, but I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it at some point or another. Let me make sure that I'm saved once again here. Wonderful. All right, so I feel like that was a very productive workshop. I was not sure if I was going to be able to finish the map within a single sitting, but as long as the scope of the project is quite narrow, then it is totally possible to do this in one sitting. This VOD is going to be up and available for viewing on my YouTube channel. So I know somebody in here wanted to watch that and really absorb the process in depth. That'll be made available to you on my YouTube channel. And I will link that in the description of this video for you to check out. Be sure to drop by the Discord of Game Master Engine. The map that we did here today will be available for download there. And I really appreciate you guys coming out. It was a lot of fun doing this. Now, I hope all of you have yourselves a wonderful night, and I wish you all the good vibes with an abundance of good vibes. Have a wonderful night, everybody.